るか約束貫こう僕らの道かけがえのない仲間たち信じて進め自分が何者か誰も教えてくれない自らを導いて出すべき答えがある青い子たちが与えられた使命果たして You carry for my tear 仲間のために戦う We just fight for that tear ひるまず立ち向かってゆけ指にかけた鳥がて今打ち抜け光ためらいはのわかっているだろう負けるはずはないこの戦いこそライトブラジが燃える闘志は火起こしてなおキャプラジが重なる明けの運命カモレスブラジが切り開けこの戦いを命に勇気を灯せ今引き金は僕だ準備はいいかブラジがブラジがブラジが Yeah yeah ブラジがブラジがブラジが
Hey guys. Oh, oh, webcam. There we go. What's up? What's up? That's a ×3 for Umineko. And another short turtle comic? Alright. Oh shit, I have to actually run the scripts again. Run script. Run script. Run script. Can I just select all these and run scripts? Okay, so now 1, 2. Okay, there we go. And a +1 for strangers. And another +1 for Umi. Well, let me fix this. Fix that. Okay, there we go. Fixed. Jungle Trees, you got it. It's beautiful now. Now all my scripts are working again. Watch more Usagi? We could probably do that. Unless I'm forgetting something. 'Cause tomorrow's Friday. I have a dentist appointment. I need to pick up wifey from work. I'm visiting my parents after work. We get home like around like 7 or 8 or something. Unless we decide to like eat dinner there, like in that neighborhood. Well, dinner's still gonna take up a bit of time. What about Picarto? Forgot. We haven't Picartoed in so long. Every Friday's been so exhausting. If we do stream, we could watch like maybe an episode of Usagi, and then we'll just do it. We'll do it all on Picarto. And then we'll do regular Picarto streams, which will be probably some research on top of Umineko. Oh, right. It doesn't work that well for you. So we'll do... Well, what do you think? What do you think about this? We do Usagi on Saturday then, because usually Friday has usually been reserved for Picarto in general, and I have kind of skipped my Picarto streams for a while now. It's been a long while since I've Picarto streamed. I think it's Friday is usually supposed to be a Picarto day. What do you think? Saturday's okay, but you literally always start super late on weekends. Yeah, well, I don't know, I get weekends can get kind of unpredictable sometimes. But I will try to stream earlier this weekend. Alright, promise. We'll try and do like... Try and do a stream. Okay, so it's possible Meerkat will want to eat breakfast with me on the weekend. That might take a bit of time. But then afterwards, I'll be back in the afternoon. Whenever I come back in the afternoon from Meerkat Day, on Saturday. You fell asleep watching Genocide of Oregon? That was a... I don't even know what to think about that movie. That was actually a pretty late showing. I think I got pretty ambitious. I wanted to watch a movie as well. Oh, I know the reason why. Because, like, I knew Sunday was going to be a problem for me. So I wanted to get in as much as I could in terms of anime. Would I consider Alita Battle Angel? Yes, I have that in my list. Oh, I would like to watch that. Isn't that the James Cameron movie? Would you consider... Oh, would I consider it... Oh. Would I consider it a live action? I don't know. I want to watch it and see, because I don't know how what I would consider it as until I watch it. because I don't know to what extent they use like the CGI anime aesthetic, and how heavily they lean on live action. I need a good compare and contrast. Oh yeah, I do have it on the wheel spin as like anime.
There have been many
It's practically
over the years
it's practically like CGI anime.
and some that used symbiotes intentionally. But with all these different hosts, some of them are often forgotten or simply not mentioned as
this
often
man
as the
is
others.
not
So
Adam
here are the top 10
Andrews.
forgotten symbiote hosts. At number 10, we have Thunderbolt Ross. Not usually referenced as a host of a symbiote, General Thaddeus is affected by gamma radiation and transformed into the Red Hulk. He even gets himself a membership to the Avengers, but people often forget that he himself was also overtaken by the Venom symbiote. During a crucial moment while Blackheart is attempting to merge Sin City with his own dimension, Ross is granted both the Spirit of Vengeance and the Venom symbiote. This makes him the only character to ever don the titles of Hulk, Ghost Rider, and Venom all at once. Maybe people forget simply because his other abilities overshadow the moment he spends as Venom, which makes sense.
Ghost Rider,
There's a lot going on
Venom,
with his character
Hulk?
in that short period, but he's still a legit Venom host no matter which way you slice it. At number 9, we have Dr.
That's
Carlin
fucking crazy.
Malice. This host may sometimes be left on the sidelines simply because he was never quite as powerful as Carnage or Venom, or even any of their other offspring for that matter. This character was something of a superhero fanatic who made it his goal to become one himself. He was taken over by the Carnage symbiote, which allowed him to walk again, having previously been paralyzed from the waist down. Something about his story led him to be swept under the rug both by superheroes within his world and readers alike. It's most likely due to the fact that he actually became a human/symbiote hybrid and actually survived the process of being taken over by Carnage. So his powers weren't quite as impactful as time went on. He was also second.
I see you really want me to watch Trainspotting.
And maybe some just argue he never did. At number 8, we have Mavis Trent, Payback. Mavis Trent is one of the only case examples where a symbiote bonded with a host and didn't turn them into a
I have to figure something out, maybe this weekend.
About as a symbiote very often, possibly for this exact reason, in that she doesn't resemble the usual telltale signs of a symbiote. She's part of the True Believers team and often appears in a state of bliss, actually having the ability to fly.
Maybe we could do like a live action movie spin.
Strength increases. There isn't much info about her online, but it can be assumed that perhaps her legacy was hidden by her unusual behavior and power set as a symbiote. She also has powers to harness electricity, which is not a typical power granted by a symbiotic bond. But alas, she is a symbiote through and through. At number 7 is Carla Unger. Only turning into Carnage for a short period of time, Carla Unger is one of the less discussed symbiote hosts. Working in Morse Laboratories, she was running tests on a Carnage symbiote sample that was donated by Spider-Man to learn more about its origins and nature. And as we already know, symbiotes often
I'm trying to think of a good fair way to do it.
Hatred or resentment. So when Carla receives a call from her abusive husband, the tissue sample jumps up and enters her body through her left eye because she gets enraged. When she arrives home, she is taken over by Carnage and kills the abusive husband.
Good many live action movies on my list.
Morse Labs before abandoning Carla at a gasoline station outside of the city. And then when Carnage quickly finds another host, it turns right back around and kills Carla.
Wow.
Perhaps this is one of the lesser known hosts because she is killed pretty quickly after being introduced, but she was cool enough while she lasted. At number 6, we have Groot.
Was that good?
As much as people may know this happened, nobody really considers Groot as part of the list of symbiote hosts. Maybe it's because he was turned at the same time as the rest of the Guardians of the Galaxy. Or Rocket Raccoon and Drax at least. The way that this happens, for those of you who don't know, is that Agent Venom had been traveling through space with the Guardians when the symbiote started to communicate with the hive mind once again. And although the symbiote seems to have been tamed at this point, it begins to respond to its instinctual nature and detaches from Agent Venom, taking over a number of heroes, including Groot. Groot Venom then wreaks havoc on the ship, breaking everything in its path, yelling out, "I am Venom," which is a fun little touch. At number 5, we have Tarna's symbiote. In her normal form, Tarna is a Skrull who used a symbiote to protect the cosmos as an agent of the cosmos. She makes it her duty to follow Flash Thompson's Venom around to gauge if he would have what it takes to be an agent of the cosmos as well. But something goes wrong during a confrontation with Flash, and Tarna is seemingly killed. Quite easily, too. She eventually returns and is then taken over by one of Null's symbiotes.
It's also this film Tato recommended me. It's pretty good, called This Is England, which would be a good addition to live action wheel.
Event, much like the encounter with Flash Thompson. Nothing against the character, Tarna is great, but her time as a symbiote might be left out.
Shin Ultraman is coming out?
Because her usual symbiotic form was with one of her own unnamed symbiotes. And then further because her time with one of Null's symbiotes was so brief.
6 minutes.
But there's no doubt that she's considered a symbiote host regardless. At number 4 is Dr. Octopus. During the events of Superior Spider-Man, Dr. Octopus becomes infected by Venom after a confrontation with Flash Thompson. This iteration of Venom is so cool and actually
since
quite
it's just
powerful,
released,
and arguably
Superior
Spider-Man,
it might not be available online yet.
He also faces off against and actually
even with bootleg
the Avengers, although they luckily are able to subdue him and take him into custody after the fight. I'm not going to say that Doc Ock is forgotten as one of the Venom hosts, but he definitely isn't referenced enough considering his pretty impressive run with the symbiote, and the naturally cool look of the creature, not to mention. At number 3 is Angelo Fortunato. This symbiote host is often forgotten because of his short and rather insignificant run with the Venom symbiote. After Eddie Brock sells off Venom at an auction, which I think is just an insane thing to do, but I digress, and basically Angelo's father buys it, his goal is to make something of his son, who had always been ridiculed by his peers. When Angelo pairs with Venom, he immediately loses control and attacks the school where Peter Parker works as a teacher, and he even kills a former classmate of Peter Parker in the process. But Spider-Man fights back and beats him pretty badly, leaving Venom to retreat. But as they're leaping off the side of the building, Venom actually abandons Angelo right there and then, deeming him too cowardly to be able to take on the Venom symbiote. This actually causes a lot of guilt for Eddie Brock, understandably. Despite this story being pretty action-packed, it's also short-lived, and Angelo is often forgotten as a result. It could also be due to the fact that he was a bit overshadowed by Eddie and ultimately Venom's next host after him. At number 2 is Wolverine. Wolverine is often forgotten as a host of Venom because the symbiote doesn't stay with him for long, quickly switching over to Patricia Robertson immediately after. But Wolverine's quick stint with Venom in Canada was actually the second time he'd been bonded with a symbiote. The other time was during the Vietnam War when Wolverine was working alongside Nick Fury to track down a group of infected soldiers. These two instances are small footnotes in the grand storyline of the Venom symbiote, but they are legitimate nonetheless. Wolverine has just been around for so long that maybe we're all just used to him having epic run-ins like these at this point. But for a time, there's a wild combo here that gives us a pretty powerful version of Venom with adamantium claws and possibly some augmented healing powers to boot. And at number 1 is Pavitr Prabhakar. Sorry if I butchered that pronunciation. Living on Earth 50-101, this version of Peter Parker is established in India and has a whole storyline similar to Earth 616. But in the case of Pavitr, Venom comes to him as a result of a curse from an ancient amulet that attempts to take him over in the same way that Venom might. He's partly consumed by an ancient guardian that changes him into what looks like a Venom with big tusk-like fangs. But soon after, he's able to shatter the amulet and banish this Venom-like monster for good. This character is barely ever acknowledged when listing symbiote hosts, and it may just be due to his storyline being so popular, at least with Western audiences. Although if you love this storyline, I'm sorry. I know there are also fans out there. But it just seems that this host doesn't get much recognition very often. Maybe it's because the symbiote is never referenced as an actual symbiote in the story. It's only referred to as an ancient being. So maybe people just don't consider it to count as a version of Venom. I think it counts though. I think it's just Venom. They're just in a different storyline. Let me know what you think. Okay, thank you for watching. That was my list for today. Please leave a like if you enjoyed this list. And if you think I missed anything, leave it in the comments.
That was an interesting list.
This has been Top 10 Nerd. I've been your host, Ben Ball. See you next time.
Thank you, Ben Ball. Web of Shadows? What's Web of Shadows? Oh, wait, that's a Spider-Man game. Web of Shadows. I was like thinking, how is that connected to Marvel? Like, Spider-Man. Duh. Curiosity, luminosity doesn't interest me. All right, let's read the turtles. Uh, 38 to 45. Okay. Becoming hard to remember exactly how I got here. The composition of this atmosphere is causing some kind of psychosis. He's gonna pick up some guns. Oh shit. Be patient, patient. So Raph is hunting them all down. Oh shit. Yeah, it's smart, Donatello. Jeez, Raphael, man. He took it super serious. Let me tell you a story. Alright, let's set up this wheel spin. I think we're ready. Whoops. Wakanda! One choice per line. You know what? I should really make a text file for this. Let's do it. Doom 3 DLC. Live swap. Friend sim. West of Loathing.
Hi, I'm Tara Bennett, a contributing editor here at Sci-Fi Wire, and I'm so pleased
Origin
to say
manga.
that Stan Sakai with us today. Hello, sir.
Thank you. Nice to meet you, Tara.
Very nice to
Let's
meet you.
let's
Just
give
so
this a
wonderful
test.
to be able to see all of the work that you've been doing for the last 30 years, but then just getting more new Stan Sakai
Oh,
stuff,
that
which
works.
is really wonderful.
amazing.
Okay.
So tell me a little bit about Usagi. You've got a one-shot coming up with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, who have been
Strangest
a long
Red.
partner for you for the last 30 years. Tell me about this crossover and tell me about what makes this one special and kind of where you wanted to go with the story.
Bully.
Well, first of all, Usagi and the
Blade.
Turtles started about the same time in 1984, and we've always had this connection. And we've crossed over a number of times in the comic books and in their TV series, animated series. But this new crossover through IDW, it's great. I enjoy doing it. I did the writing, I did the artwork, and it's in full color by Tom Luth. Now, Usagi has met the Turtles before, but not this incarnation of the Turtles, because this is a Nickelodeon Turtles. He's met the old Eastman and their Turtles where, they're all wearing the red bandanas and everything. Now it's the new Turtles, so they've got to reestablish relationships. And there's suspicions along the way, and they have to learn to actually work together this time.
Getting to kind of create these different iterations, what was most interesting about creating those relationships now, about what makes this variation of the Turtles different this
Well,
time?
for me, it was different in that I had to remember which colors go with which weapons. Before it was all red.
It's easy, right,
Leonardo was always red with her, he had the swords, and now, I have to remember, Leonardo's blue, so.
Tweaks, little tweaks.
Little subtle things,
Well, talking also about the Nickelodeon cartoon, you're starting an arc on July 23rd.
Yes.
And so tell me about, because you've got the one shot, but you also get to work in the animated world too. What's been, what were they looking for in terms of your input and how they wanted to use the character this time?
Well, as far as my input, if you see who wrote the first episode, it's Stan Sakai.
Exactly.
I also did some artwork that black
We-
and white still artwork that was used for the.
I think I got them
Oh,
all.
It was
neat.
actually
Origin manga,
episode,
Strangest
and
Wrath.
It is amazing. We previewed the entire first episode a few nights ago, and I couldn't be more pleased. The
Wonderful.
action sequences were beautiful. There was the
Mr.
interaction between
Setsu.
characters. The humor was great, and it was
Okay.
so imaginative. There was one great scene.
All right,
with
this is
a
gonna save me
5-minute
time.
Fight on horseback.
Oh wow.
That was the stunts, the action. It was great. The staging was terrific.
You know, when you started Usagi 30 years ago,
All right,
you were
now
kind of
we
at the
add the
really
choices.
forefront of creator-owned comics creation, and now it's such a vital part of the
Yeah.
business. Have you found yourself being kind of the purveyor of a lot of sage wisdom to those that come to you asking, Stan, how did you do it? What's the right way to do it? Or is there just
One,
advice when people
two,
come up that's kind of your
three,
go-to?
four,
When people say, I'm thinking about it, but I don't know,
6,
should I do it?
7,
Well, I got
8,
Well, Usagi's creator owned it.
9,
Creator owned.
10,
I own Usagi.
Yeah.
I
11,
own the trademark. I
12,
own everything.
13,
And my deal with all
14,
my publishers have always been whatever
15,
I give them, they
16,
publish. They have no
17,
input editorially or
18,
artistically or anything. And
19,
that came about because of ignorance. I didn't know any better.
1,
When they said, "Oh, of course,
2,
you know, you'll bring us
3,
artwork and you own the character," I said,
4,
"Yeah, I get."
5,
Of course.
Yeah.
6,
And every publisher I've gone to, they
7,
said, "Yeah, I own Usagi."
8,
It's always been that way. in
9,
contracts.
That's
10.
wonderful. How do you still stay inspired?
Which
with
game?
Silver, and how do you still find stories?
Look at that. You
and
could see the
find
names on the
talent in
wheel.
That character that still feel vital for you and make you excited to get down and write and draw and bring him to life
All right.
day after day.
Test spin
My
first.
inspiration comes from life. I mean, I have to make a living. So deadlines. The fans are great in that they motivate me, especially these conventions. I have
Yeah.
all this great input. So, oh, we should do something more about folklore, or have you ever done a story about this aspect of
Test
Japanese,
spin.
culture?
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
All right. Well, thank you so much.
Oh my
It was
goodness.
a real pleasure.
test spin. First test spin lands on Stranger's Wrath. But we got the real spin coming up. Here we go. Last Alliance. Oh my god. Wow. The tease. the Stranger's Wrath tease. You fucking love test spins. Well, that's how the wheel spins go sometimes. Such is how the world really is. 95%. It's pretty high. It's like it's almost 50%. Wait, Mirage, you're actually like, I think you maybe got like almost a quarter. You have maybe a 25% chance. All right, let's change game. Let me Neko question marks. It's over the good time. Oh, whoops! I thought it was. I totally forgot it's answer arcs. It's like I was like question arcs, the final arcs. Let me just. All right, here we go. Riddle me this, Beatrice. Oh, we need to switch it up. Bow, 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 bow. That's a good question. Where did we leave off? Yup. I think it was just after a fight with George and Ava. Wait, Ava's corpse? Wait, hold on. I don't remember her dying.
Yeah, 貴賓室がいいな。屋敷の2階のあの開かずの貴賓室。
So George kills his mom in the magic world. George's beautiful kick had stopped an inch from Ava's chest. I was like wondering, like, George never physically touches people when he kicks. He just like does these, like, in theory, this kick has already killed you. And then they're so psychologically damaged from that kick's wind pressure and like hockey or whatever, that it just like blows them away, or it fucks with their brain. It's such a silly way to fight. His Majesty made gulp. The VIP. He did kick some goat ass a couple times in episode 4. Alright. Gap approached Ava's corpse and lightly tapped the ground with her right heel. When she did, a large hole opened up, swallowed both Gap and the corpse, and closed. After a while, a small hole opened in the air, and the staff Ava always carried which was marked with the one-winged eagle that symbolized the head of the Urashima family, was spat out into a puddle, because the corpse would no longer have any use for it. George slowly approached that staff and stepped down hard on the tip. When he did, the staff spun violently into the air, and after passing by the blue moon which honored the Demon King, it flew into George's outstretched hand. Wow, he made that so anime without actually seeing any anime. The instant he grasped it, another fierce bolt of lightning struck nearby, and by the time the flash faded, the staff he was holding had become a spray of gold butterflies and disappeared. It was as though George had held the staff up to the heavens and crushed it out of existence.
これで僕はノルマクリアだ。次の人に番を譲るよ。
自分の母さんを手にかけるなんて。
自分を世界で一番最初に愛してくれる人であり、そして一番最後に決別すべき人だ。それが家を出るということだよ。これが僕が作用をめとるために見せられる勇気。
ジョージ様。
I'll show you courage.
我なり後ろ宮ジョージ。まずは見事であるぞ。
たとえゲーム上のこととはいえ、駒のこととはいえ、自分の母親を殺すのは愉快なことではない。しかしそれが君たちの課す試練だというから。
He stared at the two demons. The demons looked at each other, then showed their surprise with their now familiar exaggerated gestures.
そうだね、フルフル。ジョージ君の決意は本物だ。どうやら僕は君を謝るよ。許してほしい。
George chose not to go along with this almost theatrical conversation. He just quietly looked down upon the game board, found the piece representing his mother, which was right next to his, and tipped it over. This was the trial that Zepar and Furfur had set them, for the love of each other to take the life of another. It was similar to the game within Bito's fourth game, where they were each given 3 options as part of a test to select the next family head. However, pair of lovers would never abandon each other's lives, so they were automatically left with just the option of sacrificing the life of another instead. In fact, it was merciful that demons hadn't ordered them to take the lives of everyone other than themselves. And besides, it only meant taking those lives as pieces on the board. For the versions of themselves to whom the game board was the only world, this was a tragic parricide. But for these ones who sat around the game board in this witch's tea room, it was nothing more than a movement of the pieces representing George's will to overcome his parents. However, if it was just a single life within one of an infinite number of fragment worlds, the fact remained that the demons had forced him to take it. George appeared to have distanced himself from the events on the demon's game board, but Jessica still seemed to resist the idea of stealing another person's life, even if it was only their life as a game piece.
おじけづいたか？いえ、 望むベアトリーチェはこんなことでは臆したりしません。
さあ次は誰が試練。誰でもいい。次なる犠牲者。
誰でもいい。次なる挑戦。
誰も名乗り出ない。僕の勝ちということだね。
どうせ。
そうなるよ。ならばおめでとう。後ろ宮ジョージ。
あなたとあなたの愛する人の恋の成就へ至る扉の僕たちは今こそ授けん。
待てよ。
As the demons delightedly named George as the victor, they were interrupted by the next challenger.
ジェシカさん、次は私だぜ。いいぜ、やってやろう。私だってカノン君のこと半端に考えてるわけじゃねえってこと。
Who will Jessica choose? Probably her mom. Or... Is there anyone else she would choose besides her mom? As usual, this year's family conference was getting bogged down. Oh! Would she ever choose... Would she choose Shannon? This year's family conference is getting bogged down. Everyone had decided to cool their heads for a moment. A short break had been agreed upon. The four siblings could say whatever they wanted. But Natsuhi and Kiri, for example, were outsiders and found it difficult to speak freely in this sort of atmosphere. A conference where you aren't allowed to say what you want can be tiring, even as you just sit there quietly. Even Kiri couldn't help letting out a deep sigh. This was the second floor hallway of the mansion. Rudolph had wanted to be alone during the break, so she had felt like doing the same, and had drifted up the stairs to reach this place. Her expression was less tightly controlled than it was when her husband was around. Kiri wore a tired look that she didn't often show. You don't know if that would be allowed? Oh. Okay. She pressed her forehead against the cool window glass. I need to regain my spirit and support my husband, even if I'm not allowed to speak. That's the duty I've won.
Done.
Kiri? She suddenly sensed another person, turned around, and saw Jessica standing at the other end of the hallway. I'm here to murder you, Aunt Kiri.
ゲストハウスに行ったんじゃなかったの？ちょっとさ、本を取りに自分の部屋へ戻ってたんです。そう、ゲストハウスに戻るところ？はい、そうです。嫌な雨ね。風はだいぶ強いのかしら。今は比較的弱いみたいです。
As Kiri looked at the window, Jessica watched her back, looking agitated.
Kirie おばさん、ごめんよ。運がなかったと思ってくれ。
ゼトル、ジェシカの運命のルーレットはキリエを選んでしまったわ。
どうするんだいジェシカ。
ルーレットは切り絵を選んだけど、それを拒否して再び試練に捧げるのは誰の命でも問わないのだ。
Jessica wasn't like George. George had willingly chosen Ava to be his sacrifice, to signify his separation from his old life, so that he could step into a new life married to Shannon. However, Jessica hadn't thought of any particular target, so she had left it up to the roulette of fate. That roulette was nothing very grandiose. She simply walked around at random, imposing a rule on herself, saying that the first person she met would be chosen as a sacrifice. And so the roulette of fate had brought her to Kiri. Of course, there was nothing forcing her to keep to that rule. However, it was the rule that she had decided upon, and she didn't want to break it now. Now that she was participating in this demon's game, this was the one bit of justice that she could cling to. Right now, she could attack that unprotected back, but Jessica still wasn't able to fully resolve herself.
どうしたの？何か私に話でも？
Noticing Jessica's strange silence, Kiri turned around. That unprotected back was already gone. Jessica realized that her hesitation had cost her her own first chance. She had taken on this demon's game to prove her love for Cannon. However, would it really be alright to sell her soul to demons for the sake of love? Not wanting to let George, who had already come to terms with the situation, get any more of a lead on her, she energetically consented to this demon's game, but her heart still wasn't ready.
キリエおばさんにこんな質問。
何？ジェシカちゃんが私に質問なんて珍しいわ。答えられるものだといいんだけれど。
実は好きな人がいるんです。
あら、そうなの？それは素敵ね。まさか恋の相談なの？
そんなところです。
いいわよ。
Is she gonna chicken out?
私でよければ力になるわ。
ありがとうございます。実はそれです。
まだ片思い。
いえ、そこから両思いになりたて、ただ結ばれるには。
試練？何それ？
私たちともう一組の恋人たちが。
三角関係？それとも四角関係？複雑そうね。それで？
勝った方の恋人同士しか結ばれない、そういう複雑なことになって、つまり
嫌な話ね。相手を踏み台にしてしかどちらも成就で。
はい、自分たちが結ばれれば相手がそして逆もしかり。
質問の趣旨が大体分かる。こういうことでしょ。人は幸せになるためにどこまで他者を踏み台にすることが許されるのかでしょ。
It was once again apparent just how smart Kiri was. She immediately figured out the question that Jessica wanted to ask most.
戦わなければ自動的に相手が勝ってジェシカちゃんたちは負けになる。しかし戦って勝てば相手を破綻させることになる。どちらも嫌な話ね。でも聞くまでもなく。
はい。
Kiri giggled. If she Kiri's mind is already set. It's like, you have to murder them. If she wasn't willing to commit to her love, then that would show the measure of their relationship. If that was the case, she should just let the other pair of lovers win. However, if this was a love she couldn't abandon, she couldn't abandon the victory either. So she had no option but to fight. In the end, Jessica's hesitation was caused by guilt over forcing the others to split apart as a result of her inevitable decision.
やっぱ
そうね、甘えてるわ。
でも自分たちが結ばれ、そんなの。
じゃあジェシカちゃんは恋のお相手を諦める？
それは
断言するわ。その方が辛いわよ。
Doing that would feel even worse.
地獄を這うことになる。生涯ね。
A hardness had entered Kiri's gaze.
私は6歳だったから当時は何もわからなかったけれど、遺品の中にお母さんの手記があったわ。それは日記のようなものか。
Featherine.
どちらかというと随想録ね。日記よりももっとアバウトなものよ。亡くなってすぐにそれを見つけて読んだけど、その意味を理解できるようになるには長い時間と私の。なるほど、キリエの夫婦仲についての悩みが。あれは完全にお母さんの呪い帳よね。
A book of curses.
その中身は6歳の私がずっと漠然と感じていた疑問を次々に評価。
When I was 6, it seems as though my parents were very close and had no problems. And though I did think it odd that Oni-chan lived separately when he was meant to be part of our family, and I did wonder why he only came home every once in a while, I accepted it as the way things were.
アスムのことは知らなかったのか。お兄ちゃんが誰もいない時に話してくれたような気がするけど、小学校前の私にそれが理解できるはずがない。だって写真すらない相手よ。お母さんはアスムさんの写った写真の全てをお兄ちゃんに送って、家の中には一切残さなかったそうだから。
Mom had sent all the pictures with Asuma-san in them to Oni-chan, leaving none behind in the house. In front of Anjay, and even in front of Badler, who only rarely came home, Kiri's smile never faltered. If she hadn't written her thoughts in that notebook, Anji would probably never have known them. Rudolph had been particularly popular with the opposite sex since his school days, a typical playboy, audacious and over the top, and yet not lacking a little gentleness towards women. He had probably built up a formula for getting women to like him. Plenty of women approached him, using various seductive tricks to try and win his favor. Rudolph probably enjoyed that more than anyone. Since the beginning, love had been a game to Rudolph. He never thought of it as a trial and error process to find a single life partner. He would intentionally spark jealousy between women and revel in the harem lapping up their flirting. He may be my father, but he was an awful man. Wow.
でもお父さんも同時に媚びへつらう女の子たちを、そんな中に自分の価値観をしっかりと持ち知性を見せるお母さんは目立って見えた。それすらもルドルフの目を引きたいキリエの知恵かもしれぬわな。
That might have been due to the skillful way Kiri tried to catch her gaze.
かもね。お母さんはいろいろ。
Like the other Urashimiya siblings, Rudolph had strong ambitions and lofty goals. Under the mottos of who dares wins, and it's not a crime if you don't get caught. He would set up businesses that were borderline swindles or bending the law, then bail out of them, and repeat that process over and over. Wow. Apparently he was already making use of that talent in his college years, cleverly making money by thinking up of shameless projects and selling cheap tickets to parties for them. Wow. So much money that he could brag about how his wallet was always stuffed with 10,000 yen notes. Many women fell for his charisma and being the man responsible for these radical projects, as well as his thick wallet and generosity. It would be a lie to say that Kiri was not one of them. However, that made Kiri very different from the other women. Was that she could also support Rudolph as a business partner. Rudolph would laugh all the way to the bank as his large-scale party succeeded. His female entourage would surround him, and Kiri would be the only one among them to calmly point out several ways that the income and expenditure could be improved upon, and even lay out a proposal for the next project.
そうしてルドルフにパートナーとして男子厨房に入るべからずっていうように、女もまた財布に入るべからずって空気はあるわよ。女はおごられて当たり前。男の出す1万円札をどうやって捻出しているかは野暮だから聞かない、知らない、興味もない。キリエは金に対する価値観が男性的であったということだ。
In that regard, Rudolph noticed something unique about Kiri. He knew all about how much hard work it took to make just one of those 10,000 yen notes. So somewhere inside of him, he looked down upon those extravagant women who never even considered the efforts he had undertaken. Among all of them, only Kiri possessed the same sharp financial intuition as Rudolph. Every time Rudolph thought of a new plan, he would talk to Kiri about it, work out the kinks, and make it succeed. In this way, Kiri steadily worked her way up until she was number one of Rudolph's large group of followers.
でも、お母さんだって女、他の女たちにチヤホヤされてるお父さん。ナンバーワンよりオンリーワンの方が良いというもの。そういうこと。お母さんはお父さんの右腕として活躍しながらも、その陰では狡猾に他のお母さんの恋の成就はもはや時間の問題。アスムはいつからいたのか。ルドルフさんの取り巻きの一人よ。いえ、取り巻いてさえただのファンの一人だった。
She was one of his fans. Wow.
話したことはあるんですか？
もちろん。私は彼女のことをルドルフさんがアスムさんの名前さえ知らなかった一番最初からね。あの子もきっと頭のいい子だった。狡猾だった。私は頭の良さで目立とうとしたけど、彼女は全くその頭の悪さ。肥後欲のかきたて方がうまいっていうよ。
Protective instinct.
こびてイチャついてくる女たちの中で、彼女の仕草の一つ一つが派手な女たちに触傷を起こしていたルドルフさんには目立ってみ。
Even now, Kiri recognized the mistakes she had made in letting Asumu and Rudolph get too close. Kiri had thought that by taking the role of his business partner, she had succeeded in making him entirely hers. She might have been a little conceited, and her arrogance in trying to eliminate the relationships the other girls had with Rudolph might also have contributed. Perhaps she sometimes tried too hard as a business partner, putting too much pressure on him regardless of the fact that it was justified. Bit by bit, Rudolph started to need a woman who could stay quiet and soothe him without making him think about anything complicated. That woman was Asumu.
私は冷酷で合理的で経済的。カルネアデスの船板のような状況があったら躊躇なく相手を蹴落とす。そんなパートナーがあの人にふさわしいと思っていた。
Plank of Carnitas situation? Is that like when like a bird first hatches and like pushes all the other eggs off the nest or something? However, though that ruthlessness had made her reliable on the business side of things, outside of business, it might have disturbed Rudolph deeply. At some point, though, Rudolph still acknowledged Kiri's skill and began to yearn for a quiet, warm acceptance. Asumu filled that role completely. She would never talk about anything complicated. Even if he did, she would just shake her head and say she didn't know. In the thought experiment, there were two shipwrecked sailors, A and B. They both see a plank that can only support one of them, and both of them swim towards it. Sailor A gets to the plank first. Sailor B, who is going to drown, pushes A off away from the plank, and thus proximately causes A to drown. Sailor B gets to the plank and is later saved by a rescue team. I see. The thought experiment poses the question of whether Sailor B can be tried for murder, because if B had to kill A in order to live, then it would arguably be in self-defense. Ah. However, she would care more for him physically than anyone else, quietly putting a blanket on him and staying by his side till the morning. So, a mama.
確かに私はビジネスのパート。しかしいつしかルドルフさんには心を癒してくれるメンタルのパートナーがいた。私は愚かしくも知的を自称しながら。
それでルドルフおじさん、アスムおばさんと結婚。
ええ、そうよ。取られた。
Wow.
たくさんの女をはべらしていたのよ。今さらどこの女と遊んでって情を移すような人じゃない。
He slept with a lot of women. He wasn't the kind of guy to let his emotions be captured by a woman just because he slept with her.
それにあの人にとって女なんて遊びでしかない。だからこそ私は体以外を武器に自分の存在を示して。
慢心だね、女として。間もなく二人は解任するわ。
Oh shit.
アスムさんはそれをすぐにお父さんに打ち明けたけど、お母さんは逆だった。
身重になることがビジネスパートナーの座を揺るがすことになりかねないと恐れたのかな。
当時のお母さんは食が細くて体調不良とか当たり前だったみたいだから解任に気づくのも随分遅れた。 気づいたの？アスムさんとお父さんは電撃入籍をしてからよ。
Moved into Dad's family register. I'm thinking. Did Kiri do something really fucking twisted? I'm thinking, what if what if Kiri used all of her intellectualness to wipe out Asumu? She surreptitiously, like, makes Asumu ill and die. And then she has a secret child with Bruto. And she uses that child to take over the other child. So Badler's mom is actually Kiri. Kiri gives birth to the other Badler, and Badler kills the true Badler, the Asumu Badler. And then Kiri's Badler is brainwashed, or needs to undergo training in order to become Badler. Become Asumu's Badler. So Kiri sends him away to look at photos and shit. You're a bit confused about the timeline? So it's like stealing identities. After Asumu suddenly lived in Dad's
お
family.
母さんはその後に妊娠を知ってアスムさんやお父さんを揺さぶり、
アスムさん、あんなに強引ルドルフさんを加え込むんだ。だから何ですか？どうぞお引き取りくださいですって。バス一つ乗るにも怖いと縮こまってたあの小娘ね。あの時悟ったわ。本当に狡猾だったのは彼女の。そうよ、乗り物恐怖症だってルドルフ。ごめんなさい、こんな話を聞いてもつまらないわよね。
いい。
せめて私の産む子だけでも認知させたかった。ルドルフさんもそのつもりはあったのか。病院もきっちり手配してくれたし、アスムさんの出産が近づいても海外しく私のところにも来てくれてたっけ。もはや向こうが本当の奥さんなのね。ひどい人だわ、ほんと。
After that is a tale I can't bear to even tell. Both Asumu and I had the same delivery day. Badler was born from Kiri. and yet her pregnancy led to marriage while mine was completely meaningless. I swore to bring up my child well so that Rudolph would be proud to call himself its father. Asumu had won her battle against me. However, I hadn't yet lost the war. If I could make my child excel far more than Asumu-san's, if I can make my child the one that Rudolph-san most respected, I would be rewarded. That's what I believe.
しかし、キリエの子は死産だった。
Stillborn. Oh, that's tragic.
ええ、アスムさんにはお兄ちゃんが生まれた。
Wait, but it was set in red. Something is off. Wait, they're not talking in red either.
しかし、お母さんからは誰も。
But oh, the miscarriage was oh.
お母さんのせめて第二夫人の座に残りたいという最後の希望は絶たれた。
Kiri had fallen from his partner to his second wife, and then, unable to give birth to the bond of a child, she tumbled down to being merely his mistress. I can't imagine how much she must have hated Asumu and her child, Battler.
そんなのをお首にもお母さんはお兄ちゃんとも親しげに接してたわ。
Oh. Yeah, I guess I vaguely remember her.
ショックだった。あの優しいお母さんがお兄ちゃんにそんな負の感情を持っていて、
憎かったであろうな。
でしょうね。もし死産がアスムさんで、お母さんの方がお兄ちゃんを出産していたなら。
And mom had been the one to give birth to Oni-chan.
何か歴史はもしもそうだったなら、アスムさんと離婚させて自分と再婚するようなシナリオを描きたいと思ってたみたい。
それも随想録にか。
ええ、だからこそそれは随想、涙で濡らしたシーツの端を噛みながらのお母さんの連鎖。
後悔は一点だけ。
解任ですか？
違う違う、私のおごりだけよ。ルドルフさんはもう私のものだから絶対安全。あんなアスムなんていう小娘に負けるわけがない。彼女がバスや飛行機でギャーギャーわめくとき、私はその手配と経費を適正に処理できた。だから私は一番ルドルフさんに信頼されていると。恋って育むって言うでしょ。
はい。
間違ってないわ。二人で水をやり世話をして育む、そして最後に結実するのが愛という実なの。知ってる？結実して終わりじゃないの。愛を収穫しなきゃ恋は成就したことにならないの。
収穫？
それはジェシカちゃんが考えなさい。実らせても収穫しなきゃ傷んで腐ることもある。
Make the tree bear fruit without harvesting it. It can sometimes grow wrong.
虫がたかることだってもちろんいいね。それどころかヌスットが現れて ジェシカちゃんたち若い子の恋愛観は育むところで終わってる。それは甘い。愛を収穫しなきゃ恋は報われない。
愛を収穫。
Harvest love.
それは一見愛し合う二人きりだけの問題に見えて、そんなことはないの？だからいつ収穫しても自由なんていう先延ばしは盗っ人に機会を与えるだけ。苦労して育てた女、翌朝にもぎ取られて亡くなっていたわ。昨日のうちに面倒くさがらずに収穫しておけばよく。つらい。その後悔、地獄を這う。私はこう、その地獄が18年に終わった。
My hell ended after 18 years.
だから私は自分を間違える。あの人は私のもの。もう今さら手放す。そして主に感謝する。その機会を与えてくれ。
I'm grateful to my masters for giving me that chance.
絶対にあの人を諦めないという絶対の意志に奇跡に応えて。
By now, Jessica was speechless and didn't even nod her head in understanding. This true form of love that Kiri was telling her about was far, far more harsh than any of these things she had imagined.
今の私、ルドルフさんを私のところにつなぎた。そしてルドルフさんの敵には一切容赦。あの人が望むならば私は人殺しさえも躊躇しないかもしれない。 18年目にしてようやくその決意を持ったからこ絶対の意志が奇跡を私にもたらしてくれた。奇跡はね、それを自ら成し遂げられる者のところにしか現れない。
Only come to those who can make them come true themselves. Asuma's death was no murder. However, Kiri had often cursed her and hoped for her death. And finally, on the 18th year, she built up the determination to kill her with her own hands. And then she actually got herself a knife with which to do the deed. That was when the miracle occurred.
アスムおばさんが亡くなったことが。
違うわ。そんなの全然奇跡。だって彼女が死ななければ私が殺していたもん。
If she hadn't died, I would have.
つまり彼女は必ず死ぬ運命だった。
Damn.
奇跡なのは彼女が死んだにもかかわらず私が自らの手を汚さずに済んだ。
Didn't have to get my hands
こ
dirty.
の一点に尽きるのよ。
Until now, Kiri had never shown Jessica. No, she had never even showed Rudolph that glint of the deepest depths of her eyes. It told plainly and clearly that romance and love were not the sweet and fluffy candies that young girls imagine them to be. Jessica was overwhelmed by that pressure and stunned and silent. And she had to acknowledge it. This was the power of will that can make love be realized. This was the level of willpower Kiri showed in her support of Rudolph as his wife. And it was the same for George. He already had the willpower to confront everything in the way of his love that transcended status, and he had proven that. Now Jessica could clearly understand. This was the magnitude of George's determination, which had allowed him to coldly carry out his part of the demon's trial. Then what about her? Did she really have the resolve to make her love with Canon bear fruit and go through with the task of harvesting it?
「ごめんなさい。軽いアドバイスのつもりが怖がらせすぎちゃった。この天気のせいね。軽く凄むだけのつもりだったのに。」
Kiri let out a relaxed smile rise to her face. The tense atmosphere finally slackened. However, her words had been gouged into Jessica's heart.
ジェシカちゃんの恋がどんなものかはわからないけれど、ライバルがいてお互いが譲れない状況ならばなおのこと。じゃないと私みたいにな。女は恋のために人生で一度殺意を持つべきよ。
Every woman should have one time in her life when she would kill for the sake of love. Wow.
世界中で母を名乗る全ての女がそうだったと断言できるわ。だってそうじゃない女は他の女に食い殺されて生涯を嫉妬と後悔の地獄で這い続けるのだから。
Envy and regret.
私はその地獄に私は幸運よ。たったあの地獄には今も大勢の女たちがいて後悔する自分を自
なんていうか
エールを送るつもりだったのに私ったら脅しすぎたわ。本当にごめんなさい。恋愛なんてもっともっと気楽でいいのよ。
Love can be much more easygoing than that.
恋愛なんて本当に火遊び。誰でも簡単に気軽に遊べちゃう。そして間違えて大やけどした時その傷が生涯残るんだけどね。
Regrets and love will never fade. That was all that Kiri had been trying to communicate. It wasn't like Kiri to tell her life story instead of just saying something like that directly. In fact, her past was a topic she usually avoided. However, Kiri might have felt as though Jessica deserved to hear. Jessica had timidly brought up the subject of love. Perhaps Kiri had opened up and told everything because she had seen the fires of Jessica's determination in her eyes.
じゃあ私は今の話私たちだけの内緒よ。
With a mysterious smile on her face, Kiri turned around.
脅しすぎちゃったかしら。でも脅されて知る地獄の方が100倍。そこに落ちた時は頑張ってね。ややこしそうな恋だけど負けないでね。たまには人生の何ジェシカちゃん。
What? A windstorm grazed Kiri's head. It had missed by a hair. If Kiri hadn't twisted her body slightly, that fist would probably have been buried in her face by now. A bitter smile rose to Jessica's face when she saw that her first strike had failed to land a kill.
言っとくけど卑怯者だから不意打ちをしたわけじゃねえんだぜ。わけのわからないうちに一撃で痛みさえ理解できないうちに終わらせ。
言ったでしょ。嫉妬の地獄で生きてきたって。刺されそうになったことの2度や3度あるんだから。わかるのよ。不意打ちの直前の雰囲気が。
I know how it feels just before a surprise attack.
気配で分かったとでも。
それプラス一番最初の嘘
嘘
だってゲストハウスから来て ジェシカちゃんの部屋で本を取って帰ろうとしたら、ここでこの向きであなたがその嘘をつく必要性についてチェス盤理論で想定した7つのケースの中で最悪のものがこれだったわ。
Telling a hasty lie to Kiri would only put her on her guard. If Jessica hadn't told that lie, her surprise attack would have succeeded.
やれね。さすがキリエおばさん。
どうして？あなたは最初から私を殺すつもり。
誰でもよかった。
最悪だわ。
キリエおばさんの話のおかげで吹っ切れた。感謝するぜ。
Kiri dodged the punch, placed her hand against that fist, and it slammed against the wall. Ordinarily, being made to punch the wall should have caused Jessica to hurt her own hand and roll around clutching it in pain. However, Jessica's fist had left what looked like a meter-wide crater in the wall. Instead of a look of anguish after smashing her fist against the wall, Jessica clicked her tongue in irritation at having missed.
すごいわね。さすがクラウス兄さんの子だわ。ボクシングでも始めたの。
Impossible. Jessica is barehanded. She isn't holding any sort of weapon at all.
抵抗しないで。頭を立つ。痛みなんか。
Kiri tried to look confident, but she couldn't hide her confusion at this unreal destructive force. If that punch had hit, her head probably would have been split open like Jessica had said, killing her without any pain.
行くぜ。
If Kiri's kick off the ground and leap backward had been an instant slower, her gut would probably have been pulverized, though she had avoided it by a hair. Jessica's left body blow was followed by a terrible tornado-like gust of wind which blew Kiri's back.
これは夢。私、わけがわからない。
This Jessica looked like the normal Jessica, but something was different. It wasn't human, and common sense didn't apply to it. This had to be some kind of nightmare. Kiri slowly stood up. Then she looked at Jessica and noticed the several meters between them, and realized just how far that blast of wind had sent her flying.
恨んでくれていいぜ。でも私もキリエおばさんに聞けないんだ。私の自分
I can't let my love finish half-outer.
あなたは何を言ってるの？何を言ってるの？何なのこれ？誰か教えて！
Well, this is the most upset Kiri face I've ever seen. Or confused Kiri face I've ever seen. The air around Jessica seemed to bend like a heat wave. It seemed to be enshrouding her fists. And it seemed as though something like a red magic circle had appeared beneath her feet. She looked just like a Western demon standing amidst the flames of hell. Flame upgrade. Each time Jessica muttered, her fists were surrounded by a pulsing sinister red light. Those fists, which were even giving off smoke, surely represented the iron hammers of hell wielded by demons. Kiri dashed away with lightning speed. Yes, right now this is the best option. She was smart enough to realize that pinching her cheek wasn't the best way to wake up from this nightmare. By now, this came as no surprise. and Jessica muttered once more. A blood-red magical barrier blocked off the corridor. Kiri slammed into it hard and realized that her path of escape had been cut off. Don't move. Jessica slowly stepped forward towards her, enshrouded in flames. Each time her feet lifted off the floor, boiling steam hung around her footprints. This was a true nightmare. Kiri clutched her head in her hand, shaking it over and over again. Oh, what just happened? Which one is that? That's the one that Kiri fought before, right? Jessica's neck twisted in an odd angle, and she staggered backwards, her eyes rolled back into her head, as though she didn't have a clue what had just happened. A demon stake was buried at an angle into her forehead? Pulled herself out of her, spun around, and became Leviathan and landed. The hole left behind in Jessica's head spewed blood. The friend that shows up in my nightmares. The hell of envy. She's not down yet from being stabbed in the forehead? Even though she had taken a deep gash to the top of the head, Jessica just stood there convulsing and white-eyed and didn't follow me. The blood stopped pouring out of her forehead and her blank doll-like eyes returned. She then slowly pressed her own palm against the wound in her forehead, and there was a sizzle as though she had pressed a hot iron against it. It was easy to imagine that she was doing this to seal up the wound. If Kiri didn't escape now, there would never be another chance. Envious, you're so envious. In response to these words, this time her entire body pulsated with red light. She had upgraded herself with a defensive power that would ensure Leviathan's attacks would never work again.
私に二度と貫かせない防御力を持ち、その上攻撃者にダメージ反射する力まで。人間じゃないわ。なんだ
So that's all.
さっきと大して変わってない。
そうとも言う。
最初の時点から勝ち目がないことに何の変化もないわ。
That hurt. What worked again? Jessica slowly lifted the hand that had been covering her forehead, and there was no longer any hole there. The hall was blocked by barriers in both directions, and even the windows were sealed. There was no way out.
そこの部屋の扉封印された。
ただの正常だわ。でもただの部屋よ。窓はあるけれどすでに封印されてるわ。つまり密室、私たちの顔。
棺桶上等だわ。鍵を開けて。
The coffin is just what I need.
妬ましいわ。あんたにしか開けられないなって。
Leviathan's stake flew about at high speeds, ramming itself into the keyhole to that room. The tip of the stake had become a key. As soon as it was unlocked, the door flew open. The stakes became the key? No. Never mind, I'm overthinking it. So I was like thinking, what if all the master keys were stakes actually? As soon as it was unlocked, the door flew open. Both of them fell into the room and quickly locked it. This is probably Cross's study. Its soothing furnishings brought about a sense of nobility that Cross would probably like.
正常なんかしてもあいつは扉を一撃で打ち砕けるわ。キリエは自分で自分の顔。
でもね、棺桶の中で私たちにとどめを食らわせたかったら蓋を開けなければ。
With dim eyes, Jessica tilted her head upon hearing Curie's words.
何言ってんの。その小さな部屋はどうしておばさんを守る。
確かにこの部屋は密室だわ。私たちの退路はない。でもね、あなただってこの部屋には侵入できないのよ。それが密室というもの。
Even you can't break into this room. Is she using Is she using Delanor's logic? With a confused expression on her face, Jessica looked wearily between her own burning fist and the door. Then slowly she sent that pulsating red light into her fist. She repeatedly enchanted her fist to give them destructive power for the killing blow.
できるなんてやってごらんなさい。
Responding calmly through the door, which was the only thing separating her from Jessica, Curie placed a single index finger on it, as if to hold it shut. Jessica slowly raised a fire-wreathed demonic fist. Jessica's fist slammed into the door in slow motion. It was the same kind of slow motion often seen in the special effects at the climax of a movie. However, this was no special effect. Jessica's fist really was slowing down as though it was being sucked in like a spoon sinking into a jar of honey. That punch was no longer a punch. It was no more than a knock.
嫉妬するな。私は恋に対する甘えと傲慢から18年嫉妬の地獄を。だからあなたがね、あなたは私の忠告を受けて恋を成就させて美しい人生を歩む。ああ、妬ましい女の一番美しい時間。あなたは私よりも18年も長くさ。妬ましい。
Jessica tried to slam her fists against the door over and over again. However, as soon as her fist approached it, its speed plummeted. She could barely knock, much less smash the door. Speed up. With full speed upgrades, Jessica's fist moved at the speed of sound. 1,225 kilometers per hour. However, how long had Jessica been in envy to gain that speed? She had started to envy George and Shannon's relationship about a few years ago. 2 times 365 equals 730 days. 730 times 24 equals 17,520 hours. However, she wasn't envious all the time. It only happened when Shannon started going on about George. With Shannon's shift on about 3 days of the week. Divided by 7 times 3. And it wasn't as though she would go on about George all day long. Her fond words for him would only leave a mark on Jessica for about an hour. So only 1/24 of each day. 17,520 divided by 7 times 3 divided by 24 equals 312 rounded down. The number of hours that Curie had been jealous was 157,680. In other words, this was a scant 0.2% of the time that Curie had been jealous. Even 1,225 kilometers an hour, the speed of sound becomes only 2.45 kilometers per hour in the one of 500th world. Even Jessica's sonic fists were no faster than walking child in Carrie's world. Jessica ground her teeth, her fists still pressed against the door. If someone could have seen this from both sides of the door, it would have looked as though Curie was holding it shut with a single finger. Beatrice's definition of a locker.
こうなるとこの密室、ちと厄介ですな。密室殺人を行うのは人間には不可能。それが行えるのはジェシカ様が真に魔法を理解されない。
もはやジェシカちゃん、やがて時間は進む。私がいつまでも戻らないことに気づいたし、そしてあなたは観測魔女も魔法も観測されたら消える。
Which is the magic light disappear when you observe?
悪夢の時間はもう終わりよ、お嬢ちゃん。
おや、ジェシカがいきなり脱落なんてびっくりだよ。
どうか頑張って、愛しのカノンのためにも。
さあジェシカ、愛を信じてどうか奇跡を見。
訂正するわ。時間の経過を待つ必要性。
There isn't even any need to wait for time to
だって
pass.
ここに内戦電話があるんだもん。もちろん断線なんかしてないわ。私は取る。これがチェックメイト。
構築完了。
Construction?
密室殺人。
おや、有効ですな。
浸透付与。打撃伝達。間接攻撃力付与。
Indirect attack. Jessica's fist, which was pressed against the door, glowed red and then white hot. Oh. Burning them from the inside. Jessica didn't even swing her fist. She kept it pressed against the door. However, Jessica's murder reached inside the locked room. Through the cracks in the study door, through the keyhole, burst the flames of hell. Jessica could see what was happening inside the room. However, even here, on the other side of the door, she could tell that the flames of hell had swallowed the entire room. Kiri's smoldering death throes could be heard from across the door. Jessica clearly heard as Kiri danced a dance of death amidst the hellfire, fell to her knees and slumped over the floor. Slowly, Jessica tore her burning fist away from the door.
そんなに嫉妬の地獄が恋しいな。焼かれてる。嫉妬の本能で永遠に嫉妬から学ぶものもあるだろうぜ。だがそれは誇るもんじゃねえし、義務でもない。やっぱりあんたおごってたぜ、キリエおばさん。
お見事な密室さ。
後片付けを頼むぜ。やがて見つかる遺体が黒焦げじゃあまりに申し訳がない。きれいにしてやってくれるか。
かしこまりました。
Ronove transformed into a gold butterfly and entered across the study through the keyhole. Then he had to cross his arms and think about how he should even start cleaning up Kiri's unrecognizable corpse in this room that had ended up as a burning hell. Jessica finally let out the breath that she'd been holding down in her chest. Her normal human glint finally returned to her eyes. And then she couldn't help but shudder at what she had done. Even if it had just been a trial on the game board for the sake of her love.
悪魔ども、これでいい。
お見事ですジェシカ。あなたの愛も本物だ。
George welcomed Jessica with crisp applause. Vito timidly tried to join him, but Jessica yelled at them and she stopped.
ゲーム版の上の話じゃないか。そこまで悲しむことじゃない。
理屈じゃ分かってる。でもだからって心の整理がつくわけがねえだろ。お嬢様、カノン君、私君のこ ことが好き。諦められないだから示したよ。私の気持ち。私、間違ってないよね。間違ってないよね。お嬢様。
As Jessica started to sob, Cannon held her quietly. And he realized that he would have to carry on the determination she had shown him.
何も間違ってないさ。そして人の心を残し苦しむことも間違いない。僕はそういうことに対し少し君より
誰もがジョージ様が、しかしどうあれお嬢様はとにもかくにお見事です。
そう、ジョージもジェシカ見事やり遂げたこと、あっぱれであっ。今の密室殺人、魔女のわらわも見惚れるなかなかのものであった。
Jessica had used magic to kill Curie, who had holed up inside a closed room. In that instant, Jessica had constructed a locked room murder, had it acknowledged by the demons, and raised it to the level of magic.
これで2人の試練が完了だわ。
さあ、次は誰が挑戦を？
ベアトリーチェ様こそ。
いやいや、シャノンか。
ここはかな。
さあ、次は誰？
魔女がゲーム版の殺人に臆してどうするというのか。奥手も過ぎれば恋を殺すぞ。
さあ次は
誰が恋の殺。
The three who remained looked at each other. If the other two aren't going to spend a few more moments hesitating to raise their hands, I will raise my own instead. All three thought this at the same time, so they all raised their hands at the same time. The ones they loved had already shown their determination. They had to carry on. The fate of those who did not fight. Oh, I think this might be a good time to stop. The best mom. I'm getting sleepy. I got work tomorrow. Oh man. Feeling a tightness. I did some workout yesterday and I'm only now starting to feel it. Alright. We gotta end here. Yeah, hopefully we can pick up tomorrow night. Oops. It's exit time. Exit strategy. Oh, it's hot in here. I think I gotta open up a window. Alright, good night. Good night, Daydream. And Tato, bye.